We have 100 million frontline employees. We don't talk enough about what AI is doing to help them.
Hey, Becky, great to see you. Welcome to the Radical Innovators podcast.
Thanks, Frank. I'm happy to be here.
You know, as I think about your career, you've played a senior HR role in a number of big organizations across a number of industries. If I think about Walmart, Sam's Club, Cognizant, PepsiCo, how has that been? Has that been a challenge for you to navigate the different approach you leverage within talent management?
I think as an HR professional, there are things that you're always working on at every organization, no matter whether it's a frontline employees, professional employees, it's researchers, whatever the group is. I mean, you're always very focused on how do you create an engaging environment? How do people show up as the best version of themselves every day? How do you create meaningful careers? And how do they feel like they're doing something that matters? I think personally, when you get to a new place, the more senior you are, you have to know how to add value right away. And every company has its own personality, its own set of acronyms. And, I reflect back on my 20 years at Accenture, and I went from living in the US to living in India. And in some ways that was like starting at a different company. So I tell people, always assume positive intent, seek to understand, and do your homework. And those are ways that you can understand the data and try to figure out how, from your lens, running HR or being a senior HR professional, you can add ROI right away.
Yeah, I love it. You kind of give 3 high return practices, but is there any key lesson you'd say that stayed with you over the years as you've navigated across these different organizations and sectors?
Even though you're selected to come into one of those jobs, and it's obviously based on your past experience, once you get to that place, nobody cares. Doesn't matter what you did in the past. When I got to Walmart, nobody wanted to hear what I did at Accenture. When I got to PepsiCo, nobody wanted to hear what I did at Cognizant. It's about, tell me how you're going to make a difference for me now in my context. And so I think sometimes people always want to say, well, at my old place or when I worked here, not relevant. What's relevant for you is how you take all that knowledge and make it make sense in your new context. And you really roll up your sleeves and you work on being a part of the team. So that's a lesson I learned probably 15 or 16 years ago. And I really try to orient myself that way.
Well, so then I want to maybe build on that, because this is the Radical Innovators podcast. And one of the things we're always looking for are what are the most innovative leaders and organizations doing to improve the lives of their employees. I'm curious, in the field of HR, specifically as you think about your current role in Pepsi, is there anything that you're doing now that you're either excited about or something that you have done already that has ROI that people that listening can learn from?
Our jobs have changed a lot over this period of time, from being a generalist, being personnel, being in the office, to now really looking at how do you open up all of these different levers in the ecosystem so that people can thrive and the company can thrive. A lot of that means we have to change our orientation, our understanding. What is our responsibility for data in the company? What is our responsibility for helping people learn new things, for us changing ourselves first, a little bit like the shoemaker's children, or, you're always asking everybody else to change, but can you change yourself, or put your oxygen mask on before anybody else, before you help others on the plane. And that's not always our orientation, I think, in HR, because we like to do certain things. We like to be pleasers. A lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, but I certainly like to make people happy. And I've derived a lot of satisfaction over helping people get things done. But I think it's been reorienting over the last 5 to 7 years. It's not about my to-do list anymore. It's actually about helping people get into a position to be agile. And that is a really complex thing, Frank. It's helping them think differently about data, really think about the things they do outside of the company in their regular life. And then why do we not bring in those same practices? Nobody trains us how to use our iPhone or shop on Amazon. But yet we come back to the office and we want all this paper. And it's how do we help people make sense of the outside and apply to the inside, or vice versa? And really think about lateral experiences are just as rewarding as hierarchical experiences, because the jobs in the future are going to be different. And so I think that that's really what our calling in right now is for HR. And how do we best prepare ourselves? We have to do those things to ourselves. We have to eat our own dog food, drink our own champagne, whatever you want to say. But it is about this agility and mobilizing and looking at solving problems as experiences or tools that go into your toolbox for the next challenge, because we don't know what the next challenge is. And that's really how I think about orienting myself and my team versus, well, my business leader says to do this, and these are the things I'm working on. Okay, well, that's like the old way of doing HR. The new way of doing HR is, yes, those things will get done. They're going to get done in different ways. But now it's about how do we get people like on deck for the next challenge and be the most equipped.
In there, you mentioned something about being a people pleaser. And I was thinking about, something that you must do that the organization enjoys, which is the Ask Becky Anything sessions.
Yes.
What do those sessions mean for you? And then I'm curious what kind of feedback you get from the organization and the team.
So many years ago, when I stepped into like my first big leadership role, I was really struggling with like moving from being a peer to being the leader. And I felt like people weren't sharing things with me anymore because now I was the boss when we used to talk about all of these things when I was a peer. So I created just like an open Q&A session. And I found that like if you could sort of open yourself up and be vulnerable, people would start to ask questions. And if one person has the question, 5 people have the question. And in some places over time, I did this as coffee talks, or here we say like have a Pepsi with Becky. And so working with, my chief of staff over the last couple of years, we said like, what are different ways we can get information out or understand the pulse of what's going on? I have also had some really special guests come, and we're fortunate that PepsiCo has such a rich human resources history, and we have a lot of amazing alumni. And so I've invited some of them to come back as well and talk to people about their own journey. And I find that we're all struggling with the same things, whether you're talking about a financial services company or a digital first company from California versus a 100-year-old consumer goods company. We're all going through a very similar HR transformation. Even companies that are like immersed in AI, their people are still having changes or challenges with the pace of change. It makes us like understand that we're not alone, and we should use our network to learn things, as well as like, I'm also not pushing them just for the sake of pushing them. I'm pushing them so that we make PepsiCo a great company for the next 50 years.
So I have to ask if there's a favorite special guest that's joined previously.
I like all my guests, and I learned something from all of them. I have someone who's a very special mentor to me. I think you know her as well. It's Jackie Canny. She's been a guest on here. I worked for her both at Walmart and at Accenture, and now we're just very good friends. But my team loved her, and I think someone who really always leads with people at the heart and empathy first, but delivers hardcore results. She's pretty inspiring. And I think the team saw that as well.
Everybody loves Jackie wherever she goes. Let me shift a little bit to moving to strategy. So a couple of years ago, Pepsi announced unveiling a new brand identity, food, drink, smiles.
Yes.
Which the message is clear, but what does it mean for employees?
Food, drink, smiles is something we've always talked about in different segments, but when you put it together, it really reflects the future we're building. And we have really focused in the last couple of years about partnering with our full ecosystem. So all the way from seed to smile. And for our people, we talk about like, how do you come here and you build the best career? Like, what is your advancement, your belonging, and the care that we can provide for you? And those are really the ABCs of the food, drinks, smiles.
You got a large workforce, right? 300,000 employees worldwide working across different brands. How does this trickle down from the top all the way down to people that are making those deliveries?
People are very proud of our products. I have been all over the world. I've been on trucks with people in Egypt, stocking shelves in Brazil. I mean, you name it. I went on the tour. I still continue to do that. And whenever I'm with our people, they want to show me every detail. I mean, there's so much pride in our products. I think when you have like the right wrapper to put around it, it like makes our people feel like, okay, now everybody else can see what I see every day. I feel so moved when I'm with a group of our frontline people and they talk about how they show up. No matter what the snow is, those trucks are out today. They are delivering products because all of us sitting at home want our Instacart or DoorDash or whatever else to show up with our things, and our team doesn't disappoint. And I mean, we owe it to them to make sure that we communicate clearly to everybody else about what goes on here.
I love that. So anytime we can celebrate people and help bring people along for the journey, it's
Yes.
phenomenal. Like all companies, Pepsi's expanding its use of AI. AI comes up on every podcast, whether I bring it up or somebody brings it up. Your new collaborations with Siemens, NVIDIA to implement AI, digital twin at your plants and your warehouses. How are you preparing employees for something like this, particularly given the wide range of demographic of employees you have?
I mean, this is a really challenging thing because I think there is a lot of fear in the media. What AI means, when it's coming, we hear all these things all the time. Most of us are experiencing AI every day in our life, right? And as I said before, like if you have a smartphone, there's AI running on that the whole time. Like you're texting, it's auto filling for you. All of these things are part of our life. I think in the context of employment, what has become more scary is what does it mean for my job? And I always remind people, like, I'm not doing the same HR work that I did 28 years ago. And no one on my team is either. We're doing very different things now. And if you go to a plant or you're driving, you are doing things in a different way. We have dynamic route engineering. So if there's traffic or you're running late, we reschedule your route so that it's the most efficient for you to deliver product. And we have things now like an interview companion, because we know when people interview, they never write good notes. I'm sure every talent acquisition leader, this is the bane of their existence. Now we have a tool to help you. People love that. So I think all of those things are happening. We have tons of use cases, and I'm really excited that our Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer, Athena Caniora, is a great partner to me. And we're always looking for ways to do this with empathy, follow our standards, and help people move forward. Now, to really address like the elephant in the room, there are some, like, let's call them uncomfortable truths with AI. There are some jobs that will be fully automated, but there are new jobs that will come. And so as I talked about earlier, is like, how do I give people experiences that put like tools in their toolbox and keep them agile? This is like what I'm always thinking about. Like I have 300,000 employees. I should be able to grow a ton of top line revenue and keep repositioning my same employees. And of course, some will retire, some will opt out. I need to keep bringing campus in. But just because like I had a job 28 years ago, which allowed me to grow in HR, doesn't mean that, my people coming out with labor and industrial relations degrees need to do that same kind of job, but I can give them a very different experience. And that is like my mission for like this year. And probably, I don't know what's going to stop because technology keeps changing, is how do we get people to keep learning skills? We don't define the next job by what hierarchy you already went through. It is going to be a skills-based framework. And we have to lean into the fact that yes, things will change, but we're going to be here to help you. And some things are going to change faster than we expected. Some things will be slower. It won't be smooth, but it's this like open feedback loop that needs to feel safe so that we can help people move along. I was explaining this to my team and I said, remember that game Chutes and Ladders where you're like on a path and sometimes you go back to the beginning or you slide down to the next one? That's kind of how I feel about technology right now. We're on a path. We think it's going here, but we may loop back because it didn't work out, or we may skip ahead, but it's preparing people to adjust for that, I think, is really key.
And there's so many different, to your point, competing messages. There's some people that approach this from an abundance mindset and talk about the new jobs that will be created. Conversely, at our dinner, we had the most recent one, someone from Anthropic who spoke about, and their CEO has openly said, unemployment will likely go to 10 to 20% before it comes back. Then you have someone like, if I think about it, the same dinner in December, Bob Toohey said, is this not just like any other transformation we've gone through? It's just coming at us way faster.
We have 100 million frontline employees in the US. And this is everything from the person who is the cashier at CVS. It can be a pharmacist, right? Which is a highly degreed, skilled person. It's the person delivering your food. It's the people working in our plants. We don't talk enough about like what AI is doing to help them, because I think we can make those jobs safer. I think we can make them more predictable. At PepsiCo, we keep talking about like, what is the AI for good and how do we help these jobs be better? And you mentioned our partnership with NVIDIA and this digital twin, right? We're able to like replicate a version of our factory in the digital twin and run our new technologies and our tests with high accuracy, which actually is much more safer when we roll something out. It also allows our people who are doing the work now to give us feedback. And I think that is like where I think we're not getting enough attention right
Yeah.
now on this topic, because I don't think those jobs are going away for a while, right? Our 100 million frontline workers, they will change, but we still are going to expect a nurse to be in the hospital when you're delivering a baby, right? So how does that job get better?
Now, how are you guys using AI specifically in the HR function? Is there anything novel that you're testing and trying, or anything that you'd say this has worked quite well over the last year?
Yes, we have actually probably over 30 use cases going on right now. I mentioned one, the interview companion tool, which is launching right now, and it's been co-designed by people who are professional recruiters and hiring managers, and it enhances the fairness and consistency in hiring. Because how many times have you gotten to if somebody's interviewed and then they come to interview with you and you're like, where are the notes? What am I looking for? And for the candidates, it's a terrible experience. You're like, Frank just asked me those questions, Becky. Why are you asking me them again? It's like we're not talking to each other. So I think this transcription interviews, categorizes responses, and creates summaries, as well as like questions where to probe. And of course, one of our recruiters is reviewing it. It doesn't go blindly, but it just really helps the candidate experience. It helps us get more consistent feedback. So I'm super excited about that. We also are doing more with predictive labor analytics, and this is an AI powered tool that helps manage union related risks. So we do have a large part of our business, both in the US and around the world, that we deal with works councils, unions, collective bargaining agreements. And this really helps us identify and enable interventions faster. And that's super important for our frontline teams because we really can't have a disruption there. Then we continue to have other things. One that's really exciting, and as I'm going to Mexico this week, and this team really piloted this, it's the control center. And this control tower keeps in touch with all of our people who are moving and distributing product. And this is super important for safety reasons. Anything from weather to if you're going into an area that's having some sort of political or social disruption, we're able to message to the driver, see what's happening in their cab. They're able to alert us, or we can reroute them. And so again, this is a great place when we talk about how does AI make us safer? We don't have to say like, oh my gosh, I got an alert on my phone, I better text all the drivers.
Yeah.
No, it's happening dynamically, and it's already rerouting them even before they get close to the disruption. So I'm very excited about that, because it is all about being able to come and like do your job in a safe way that you feel good. And I'm really focused on that.
So we're still early in the new year. Curious what some of the current HR initiatives are, or the big programs are that you're heavily invested or more excited about as the year progresses.
We used to all write our own objectives. And then, yes, there was maybe 2 or 3 that were global. But this is the first year we took like my team, which is probably like 17 people, and we worked together. We're like, what are our big rocks? We agreed on the 10 big rocks. And we actually, the way we organize ourselves, Frank, is we create committees. And so somebody for the big rock is the captain. And then we get a cross group of people from either different sub-functions in HR or different countries. And we work on solving it. And we have a stand-up every week to move things through. We have like some, let's call it basic things that we're continuing to work on. You know, we pay in a commission model. It's making sure that that is for our salespeople accurate, on time, no issues. And when you're paying hundreds of thousands of people in 200 countries, like that's a complex process to be fully automated. So of course, Maslow's hierarchy, making sure that's right. We have a direct access initiative, and really we're rolling out a new mypepsico.com, which is our internal our internal site where people will have an agent that will be able to help them answer questions, find things. And so a big piece of this is like our own knowledge management, and how do we really move to kind of a global way of operating in terms of policies, understanding where people can get self-service, and also like what are all the things coming in that they're frustrated with and they can't be solved, and how do we solve that? Is that solving with HR? Is it solving with our agent? There's just not enough time in the day to get all of that. And then another big one is just on our skills journey, and how do we keep equipping people, whether it's very personalized custom learning tracks, what are the building blocks, how do we refresh as quickly as things are changing, we need to refresh all of our collateral and our approach.
It feels like the skills-based organization and those conversations have been happening forever. Are we getting a little bit closer? Is this the year? Because I feel like this is maybe, and going back to one of your former organizations, Accenture was way ahead of this, and IBM and a few others that were talking about this for a long time. But it feels like we haven't quite gotten there yet.
So I grew up in a skills-based organization, right? Working at Accenture for over 20 years. I mean, that's all we did. Everybody was, and we had proficiency levels. You went through a capability assessment model. You were interviewed, because that's how that company makes its money. It's based on the sort of recipe of the person, the combination of the skills. What I learned from that is, every time you group somebody by a label, you're solving for an average and you miss like all the highs and the lows. And that's like what I think sometimes job descriptions do. And so I think it's an easy sell to talk about, tell us your skills. And there's actually something I learned from my colleague at Verizon. They found that people update LinkedIn way better than anything we have on the inside, which I'm sure you know. No, that's no surprise. And so they actually created a platform where they allow people to opt in, and they're like, can we scrub your LinkedIn to build your skills profile? When I was talking to Christina, who works there, like everybody did it. Everybody wanted to do it. And now they have this really robust skills data. So I think there's a lot of examples of where companies are like, we're just trying to figure out like who you are, right? Like, what does Frank do besides this job description? And when I think about our frontline people, if we're not going to have, people putting boxes on shelves in warehouses, but I need more mechanics, which is a huge shortage for in the US, how do I figure out who works on their car at home? Who tinkers with electronics? Who's actually building a garage or a shed at their house and is interested in that? Because those are the kind of people that have the aptitude. And so I think we're looking more holistically, not just about if this is your job description, what are your skills? How do we assess you? But like, who are you overall? And how do I take all of that in? Because you're already a person who fits in here with our culture. You're a good performer. You're proud of working at our environment. And I need to take all those pieces and reformulate them into like, what's the recipe to serve the next order? And I don't really know what all those jobs are yet, but that's how I talk about it. That's how I think about it. And somehow people get that, rather than saying, well, how do you know if that's my skill or not? Well, no, let's do this together.
It's interesting. It's like another input could be Facebook and any other social media at this point, right? Because to your point, there's so many things that people know that are skills they wouldn't even think to put forward.
Yes. And humans are very creative, as we know. So there's a lot of stuff that I think people don't even know to tell us that actually could be useful. All
right. So I'm going to move to the hard questions. Rolling Stones or the Beatles?
Oh, the Beatles.
All right.
Yeah, I know all the words.
Same for the Rolling Stones. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning. Early morning.
Favorite PepsiCo product?
To drink, I like the Pepsi Zero Sugar, or Pepsi Max, as it's known outside. And I'm a classic Lay's person. I could just eat like plain potato chips all day long.
And favorite sports team?
Well, this is a controversial one, but it is the Detroit Lions, because I am from Michigan, and I know they missed their year a few years ago, but they have my loyalty.
No controversy here. As long as you're, let's see, not a Seahawks fan. That's what my.
No, I really wanted Matthew Stafford to win yesterday, because he's slogged for Detroit for a long time. So, but it'll be a great game.
Well, Becky, thanks so much for joining us on the Radical Innovators podcast, and I hope to see you again in person sometime soon.
Yes, enjoy your day today. Thank you.
Thank you, you too.